Would definitely be interesting because bombs are kind of a little bit more of a free-form thing, but... Oh.
Yeah, and we're about to find out.
This is the only text box, unless you run into the pink guy on Death Mountain.
So just 10 arrows to get us started here at the beginning of the seed in Link's house. And a quick map check showing us the 5 and 6 crystals are both in Tower of Hera and Eastern Palace. That's interesting information, along with the red pendant. So a very red light world.
Yeah, definitely.
Here at Desert, yeah. That's not something you see every day.
Definitely, and it's always interesting seeing both 5, 6 crystals in Light World because it could just open up a really, really early double-chested fairy check. So, and oh boy,
your wish is my command. 10 bombs.
Commentator's curse.
You know, and as everyone who's watching, if they've seen a few runs of this, knows the 10 bomb start is both a burden and a blessing. The runners are, of course, going to have access to bombs for that back of escape area. Oh, look, Jenya deciding to go back to grab that big 20 rupees just to get a little bit of a money start.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Money is really important in the early game, considering Kakariko is generally the first place you're going to go.
Yeah, and you never know when Zora is going to be a really important location. And of course, the logic for the randomizer doesn't care about rupees. So if you need to hit Zora's waterfall and pay those 500 rupees, it doesn't make sure you've received 500 rupees at that point. You may have to farm.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, in a worst case scenario, if you don't have a glove, you could potentially see yourself... Ooh, very nice strat from WinDEU right there.
Yeah, and
with the... Oh, okay. Guard almost trolling, but...
We're likely going to see some well-thought-out planned bombs. I'm sure at this stage, both runners will have practiced this escape sequence with the bombs. But, of course, with all things considered, there's always an opportunity for a guard to run a way you didn't anticipate and slow things down for you.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest issue I have personally with bomb escape is the fact that the RNG really matters. Whether a guard sees you or not can really change whether or not you end up hitting him. Whereas with all the other weapons, you can kind of react accordingly.
Yeah, and WinDEU there getting his guard hung up on the treasure chest there was really nice.
Yeah,
so far we've found a couple of keys, so that does mean that we have located all of the keys we'll be seeing in this escape sequence.
Yeah, WinDEU coming down on 1 heart for this sequence. I imagine he's going to be doing the pot strat here for the ball and chain guard, which is a nice safety strat. It's also because you have hearts under all 3 of those pots up there.
WinDEU unfortunately missing with those pots. And now he's forced to bomb.
That's the potential issue with that. Okay, he did get
the guard there.
But now he's got to avoid the green guard the entire time.
Also having troubles. Both runners rescuing Princess Zelda at about this exact same moment. Health is incredibly low here for both of them. Half a heart on WinDEU's side is very scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a couple of hearts. Ideally, he shouldn't have any issue getting up to the first floor without running into any guards from here on out. And as long as he can get to that second floor, there are 2 hearts under a couple of pots later on. So hopefully shouldn't see any early deaths here.
Yeah, it's an iffy situation when that happens, when you lose your pots at that particular stage. But from now on out, until you're hunting the rats and getting through that rope room, you're probably not going to take any more hits.
Yeah, exactly. You might take like 1 in this room, this hallway right here, but kind of doubtful.
There are 2 pots right there with hearts under them. Both of the runners taking an opportunity to refill their health and get up to 2.5 hearts at this point.
Yeah, both of them being pretty good on money right now. Jenya with a little bit more, just that first big 20 that he ran into in Uncle Escape, or the Uncle's chest room.
So another feature, or feature with air quotes around it here, of a bomb start is it is typically the slowest of starts, just because there's so much more time waiting for the bombs to go off. And so where you might normally be seeing a sub 6-minute run with certain weapons, bombs typically are between the around the 6.5-minute mark if everything goes perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, bomb escape is definitely another thing is if you miss a single bomb, you know, that's another like 3-4 seconds that you've got to wait to place another bomb and wait for it to explode. So any, you know, missed attack can really cost you time-wise, as opposed to, you know, missing an arrow or something where you would just
And here we see WinDEU hunting for this last. There, he gets the.
Oh, nice triple kill.
Yeah, but Jenja was able to pull ahead there, got it on his first try. So both at 1.5 hearts now. Jenja has a slight bomb advantage, which may be important when they head through Kakariko Village.
Yeah, definitely, because Jenja may not end up needing to buy bombs before clearing Blind's Hut and the well, whereas WinDEU will probably need to, unless he finds bombs in one of those chests.
Yeah, with 4 bombs, that's a nice position to be in. Guaranteed going to be able to clear the main part of Kakariko Village. There is also, of course, the opportunity that the tree pole might have bombs, or the bush crab.
Yeah, very true.
Might help. So because we saw the map down there in the escape sequence, this chest is live. Turns out it's just a big 20 here in Sanctuary. And with that, our runners have about between one. Jenja has 100 rupees, so he's got his bottle vendor money. WinDEU close behind, most likely going to be able to pick that up along the way, though.
Yeah, and Jenja getting his map check-in, because he had not done that at the beginning of Escape. And interesting, I think we're seeing some route divergence here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jenja wants to get a little bit of a time advantage here. He's going to head right into the Lost Woods, check out the mushroom location, and turns out for WinDEU, that was a great thing. Jenja's going to get a tree pull here to pick up his bomb, so wasn't a big change.
Yeah, so what we're seeing here is a bit of a route divergence. WinDEU is opting to check Lumberjack Cave for a little bit of intel. So big 20 there, not really going to be wanting to come back for that. But whereas Jenja doing what some runners will tend to do, which is probably delaying a Lumberjack check until you get boots. Because if you end up with a bootless seed, you know, you can't check Lumberjack anyway, even if you beat Aga. So a lot of runners will kind of tie in Bonk Rocks and Lumberjack as one check.
Yeah, and so as it turns out, this means that both of our runners have that full 10 bombs in their pockets for Kakariko Village, so no change in advantage in that regard. We're going to get our first look here in the Blind's Hut on Jenja's side of the screen. 5 items to be found here, potentially some progression, because we have literally found none so far.
Yeah, that's very true. I hadn't even thought of that. Getting some money, more bomb capacity. There we go. First progression item of the run. Second progression item of the run. Very nice.
Yeah, Hookshot and Power Glove are very nice to find at the early onset. The Hookshot, of course, is going to make dealing with that mini Moldorm cave significantly easier than having to do bomb strats on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that lift upgrade being one of the 3 items required for Dark World access. We're just looking for either the hammer or another glove and the Moon Pearl. And we will have a truly dead Agaseed.
Yeah, absolutely. With both of those items so close to each other, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of makes me think about Aga as a requirement, though, because if they find Fire Rod, if they find a Moon Pearl, a sword, and a lamp, and cape, then they'll be able to do Aga and get across to Thief's Town.
So picking up that Fire Rod is really nice, as long as there's a good chance that Turtle Rock is going to be required. We get a full heart container here from the bottle vendor, so not too bad to pay 100 rupees for that at this early stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But tracking down the fire rod is sometimes a really annoying prospect for runners. So it's always great to see it early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really nice to, should Skullwoods and Thievestown both end up being crystals, it can be really nice to try and combo both of them together in one trip, you know, first time into Dark World.
All right, and the tavern just letting another 100 or another 20 rupees. And we are now done with our Kakariko checks that are available to us at this time. We're going to go take a look south area and see what's going on in the maze and what will be on the library bookshelf here.
I'm going to call a capacity upgrade. Nope, heart piece.
Well, I guess technically that's part of a capacity upgrade for health. So
True enough.
Jenja choosing to go directly into the maze, and I'm seeing this more and more during this 128 player round. A lot more people just taking the couple of seconds here instead of potentially losing a whole bunch, checking and then having to come back.
Yeah, that is
definitely
fair. We'll see. Just 3 more bombs. So.
He's going to go ahead and pick them up, though, because it's very useful to have early on. We'll see a save and quit now, and I imagine we're going to see south area of Lake Hylia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so WinDEU does pick up a few extra seconds on Jenja there, because he opted to just check and leave. So now they've gotten pretty close to each other. This is a pretty tight race still.
Jenja making excellent use of the hookshot there to just give a couple little bit movement tech speed upgrades by hooking to various things along the way. And he's going to be able to use the hookshot skip here on this chest. Grabs the mushroom, so we're going to get a 1-cycle pathway through the dam area.
Mm-hmm.
WinDEU most likely going to try to follow suit.
Yep. Yeah, that's something that's very nice. It saves, you know, a few seconds here and there, just 2 screen transitions.
Yeah, and 50 more rupees there, sunken under the water. Both players probably going to pick that up as they're still on the hunt for that Zora money. Need to get 500 rupees at this point. And here's where we're going to see that hookshot really pay off with the mini Moldarm Cave. Some way to deal with them very efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially that first one. It can be really nice to have hookshot and not have to deal with him coming really close to you.
Yeah, and both runners would be really happy if they could pick up something like a magic container to get full up so that their fire rod is useful. And here we see the Titan's Mitt. So another item along with the sword and the Moon Pearl.
And the Moon Pearl. Oh my goodness. Okay, well there is Dark World access.
Yeah, so Mini Moldarm Cave paying off, and that's really going to impact Jenja's play through the game. He's instead of heading over to Ice Rod Cave, along with WinDEU, they're both going to head into the Dark World. So starting off at Sanctuary and running over to Kakariko Village.
Yeah, looks like they're both just going to opt to head straight into Dark World. I definitely can't really blame them, considering, especially with that sword pickup, it's going to be a pretty quick work. You can go through Thievestown. Thievestown is beatable, probably full clearable, but it kind of depends on... Oh!
We're seeing something really interesting here. Jenja is going to go and sequence break up the mountain, use that hookshot at Titan's Mitt to clear both light and dark East Death Mountain.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
I guess
this
that
could
is...
pay off.
Yeah, that is the most item density. Ooh, okay.
So we got a map
green
check there, yeah.
And Thievestown blue pendant. So unfortunately, no crystal progression in this check, but there are still quite a few items up here for WinDEU.
Mm-hmm. So Fighter Shield there in the chest game on WinDEU's side of the screen. And it's really interesting to see both of those early Dark World dungeons that are accessibly and full clearable at this point to the runners being pendants.
Yeah. That's
not
probably
what they would like to see.
That's probably my least favorite pendant layout in the entire game, really.
The Brewer's House containing another 20 rupees. And we're going to get a quick look here now in the Paradox Cave side of things. 7 checks to be had here. An opportunity for Jenja to pull significantly ahead in an advantage way, since WinDEU wasn't able to find anything of value here in Village of Outcasts. So silver arrows and another 100 rupees at the first 2 chests.
Not too bad. Although without the bow, the silver arrows aren't going to be particularly useful yet.
Yeah, and so WinDEU's going to go into Thieves Town. It makes perfect sense. It's right here. These first 4 chests at the very least are easy to grab. It's 50 rupees out of the first one.
There are 4 items in Thieves Town.
Meanwhile, Jenja getting the flippers there gives him full Dark World access. He can now go from east side to west side without the hammer, and that might be really important.
Got bomb capacity upgrades? My goodness. Got 15 bomb capacity upgrade. Yes.
So that kills Aga for sure on Jenja's side of things, unless the Lantern and Flute were behind flippers. Or required East Dark World. And Book of Medora there does mean that the other pendant dungeon is accessible.
That's Boots. Jenja just saw Boots on Floating Islands, so unfortunately not able to get it without having access to the mirror, but that is some really useful intel. Should he end up finding the mirror, he'll know that he should just rush East Death Mountain really quick to grab those boots.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really nice pickup if it happens early on for him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another shield upgrade here at the bottom of Spiral Cave. And
so
we're going to get
gonna head up to Dark Death Mountain now. Another, with hookshot in hand, that's another 6 checks, along with some intel about the Turtle Rock pendant, or medallion, I should say.
I'm taking an extended look here at the map, realizing the ramifications of Pendant Thieves Town and Pendant Skullwoods.
Yeah. Yeah, and the next couple rooms pretty scary for WinDEU, given the fact that he's got green mail, so he was a one-shot basically. Those little unassuming frogs do 2 full hearts of damage.
Yeah, they are dangerous. It's scary to be in Dark World early on. And there's the mirror for Jenja. Oh,
Ooh.
This sequence break has paid off in spades for him. In just a few moments, he'll be picking up the boots.
Wow.
And that's going to be quite an advantage.
Absolutely,
quite an advantage for him.
Especially given the fact that I don't know that WinDEU's really gotten much of value out of Thieves Town. He's gotten Zora money with a 300 rupee pickup, but that's kind of it. And since it's not a crystal dungeon, unfortunately, not really able to say, hey, at least you got a crystal.
All right, and we also saw that it was a Quake medallion there in Turtle Rock, so they do know what medallion they're looking for, at least for that dungeon, or Jenja does. Piece of heart there, a full heart container. And another piece of heart. But all of that pales in comparison to the boots that we're about to pick up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this is also going to open up things like Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb. He's also going to have Graveyard Ledge access now.
Mm-hmm. And
thanks to the mirror.
He also will be able to, should he get the book in Thieves Town, I guess WinDEU did get the book out of there, but should Jenja get the book, he will be able to beat Desert Palace pretty much immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
he's choosing to go back in. He's going to go and take a look.
Oh no, he's going to walk onto the bridge, mirror there to pass up the hammer requirements so he can go beat Tower of Hera.
He can go right to Tower of Hera, so he'll get his first crystal dungeon.
Okay.
Well, he can mirror at any point now.
Yeah, he can mirror at any point. It's just really scary being being in front of Lionel's with 3 hearts and green mail.
He can also go into he can get the thing, whatever's on top of Spectacle Rock now as well, since he has that mirror. So WinDEU cleaning out Thieves Town, completely killing off the first dungeon at 20 minutes 14 seconds. Unfortunately, it was a pendant, so it didn't really provide him with any progression, unless that book is a required thing to have, in which case he has some advantage there.
Yeah. So, and anything that Jenja is currently doing is a sequence break, which isn't really a huge deal should it end up being, you know, a lamp requirement to get up to Death Mountain, but we also have to keep in mind that Flute is on the table. It could be Flute Death Mountain access.
And there's the hammer and dig game.
Okay, so that's some pretty nice progression on WinDEU's side.
Yeah, that is a great item to find. So he also now has full east and west sides of Death Mountain, or of the Dark World, accessible to him. So without a sequence break, that is an availability.
So yeah, that officially now makes Aga... Aga is officially dead. No Aga requirement this seed.
And there's a bottle from Stumpy, so he's going to have access to Sick Kid. Jenja's still hunting rupees for the 500 necessary for Zora, so he's willing to take a few moments there and wait patiently to pick up that big 20.
Also, something to note is because of the item layout, we actually know that there is guaranteed to be... Or actually, no. The small key can be in the basement, can it?
Yes.
I forgot. So, okay. 50-50 chance that there will be a... an item in the basement here. And let's take a look at Hype Cave on WinDEU's side.
Yep. 3 bombs, a piece of heart. There's the magic powder and a sword upgrade. Oh! At the same time, Jenja taking a fall there on Trolldorm.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vanilla Moldorm is not a fun fight. So WinDEU will have the advantage of Master Sword and Hammer once he eventually does go up there. So the Moldorm fight will be a significant amount easier. I'll be interested to see whether WinDEU is going towards Skull Woods or if he's going to sequence break up Death Mountain as well. I think he is.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great payoff for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like not sequence breaking Death Mountain won't be too much of a disadvantage. He's not going to, you know, get boots an hour later or something.
Oh, picking up the small key there off Trolldorm means that Jenja's probably going to have to head back in unless he's short a dungeon item and then he knows it's a dungeon item back there, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen his.
I'm pretty sure it's a dungeon item because I think he's only picked up 1 so far.
Ah.
So yeah, and I think I can definitely see WinDEU's logic as far as you know, holding off on the Death Mountain check until now, because you know, when Jenja went up here, he didn't know whether he would be able to complete Tower of Hera, whereas WinDEU is now in a situation where even if he didn't find Mirror, he with Hammer and Hookshot in hand, he could beat Tower of Hera. So guaranteed crystal out of this check, whereas with Jenja, he could have just gotten East Death Mountain and had to leave.
He also is going to be able to... Oh no, it won't. I don't think he has enough health and doesn't have any health in a bottle there to deal with Spike Cave, though he does have the hammer.
Although one thing to note is he will be able to get Ether Tablet, which Jenja is not able to do because he doesn't have Master Sword or Book. So if there's something good on... Ooh, scary. If there's something good on Ether Tablet, that could put WinDEU at a very large advantage here.
Yeah, and so our first look here on top of Spectacle Rock is just a piece of heart. Underneath it will be 50 rupees. Jenja may actually go and pick that up just to get himself over. Yeah, and that's what he's going to do. Get himself over that 500 threshold.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. That's another advantage WinDEU has. He actually left those 50 rupees because of the 300 pickup in Thief's Town.
Yeah, he's well ahead of this point. Now, what will be interesting to see is what Jenja gets out of this play. So he's going to be able to go and do things like Bonk Rocks and the North route if he so chooses. Instead, he's going down to... Looks like he might be heading over to Saharshala's house.
Saha, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's got the flippers. He's probably doing all of the flipper lock spots, especially since...
Whoa, look at that. You know what? That's going to really change, might actually change his plan. He's going to go do Hobo for sure now, but he might switch over and save and quit, head over to Kakariko Village just to get in the Dark World.
Yeah, potentially.
South route up to, take the south route through Hype Cave just to pick up that flute.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't even think about how this would change it. WinDEU, having the hammer, decided to not go to Dark Death Mountain because he didn't have a guaranteed way to, to get back to Light World. So this actually will slow down his Hera clear a little bit because he won't have the boots.
Yes, or the mirror to quick warp out. So Jenja actually going to go ahead and deal with the Zora area first and then come back for that flute.
Yeah, definitely don't blame him for that. Especially he's already in the area. He can just clear this up, save and quit after getting Zora.
What's important to remember here is that this is still technically, even though we've seen the flute now, it was locked behind flippers. So this doesn't unlogic break the play up Death Mountain at this point.
True.
When he picks up that flute, yeah.
Although one thing I will say is, because both of them have Fire Rod at this point, as long as they're both comfortable with their dark rooms, I don't know if we're even gonna see a lamp, because
it's certainly not gonna be won't be a priority.
Exactly. So let's see what Zora has today.
For 500 rupees, you get 5 arrow capacity upgrade. A distinct lack of worth.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting here is Jenja's going to be able to head over to the Village of Outcasts, take care of the overworld checks in there, and I think knowledge of the flute... Oh, he's going to go and do King's Tomb while he's here. Probably Bonk Rocks on the other way. But knowledge of where the flute is located is going to steer him clear of both Skullwoods and Thieves Town, I would imagine, because the flute's going to give him access to a whole lot of other places that he might be more interested in checking. And along the way, he's going to get Hammer, which is also going to give him more access. It's going to be a very different route, I imagine, that he'll take.
Yeah, for sure. So it will be interesting to see whether Book ends up being a requirement. At this point, the only way Book would be required would be Bombo's tablet. Because with Flute, Titan's Mitts, and Mirror, they have access to Desert without Book. So WinDEU, making quick work of Moldorm over there. Hammer making that fight a good amount more comfortable than Jenja's fight.
Yeah, just 3 hammer hits to take care of that boss is really nice. Interesting here, Jenja's going to go ahead and deal with Skullwood, so another divergence in their 2 paths. Just 2 items to locate here, and sometimes you can find them relatively quickly. Gets a couple of bombs stolen from him.
Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting. Sometimes, I've had seeds where you get first 2 items in these first 2 chests, and other ones where, you've got big key on Moth leading to an useless item in the big chest, so... I think WinDEU probably setting up a death warp, understandably, considering he doesn't have the mirror here. So, thankfully, that's one benefit of having green mail at this point is death warps are significantly easier to execute on.
So still no items here in Skull Woods. The boots makes that bomb jump a lot easier. Changes the pixel requirements significantly. Interesting. Jenya's going to avoid that single chest item location there and head straight to the back of Skullwoods. Now, Skullwoods, additionally, and another reason why this might have been a draw for him is that it is the green pendant, so means that
that's true.
Yeah, it's another extra item.
Although I will say, if he ends up fighting Mothula here, for a maximum of 7 hearts and green mail, no half magic, Fighter Sword Moth is definitely not an ideal fight. So could be very dangerous fight. We'll see.
Ugh, so another key there. Means
So,
that
yeah,
he is going to head up to Mothula. That missed chest that he did not open was a dungeon item.
Yeah, gonna be restocking a little bit in this room, getting up to max health and all that goodness.
Yeah, definitely want max health, max magic power, especially since he's gonna have to take care of these Gibdos. Ooh, wow!
Nice
managed to thread the needle there, and he's going to be able to just make a beeline for this door since he's already picked up all the keys he needs and grab this one additional mini mana pot before heading down.
So WinDEU picking up his red shield and his mirror, so he will be able to get his boots pretty soon here.
And Mothula playing nice, but getting a little tricky.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, unfortunately, Mothula, the wonderful programmers over at Nintendo, made it so that Mothula does not take damage from spikes, or when he runs into spikes. Oof. And unfortunately, he is in a room covered in spikes. So if you hit him into the spikes, he actually does not receive any damage. So Jenya just abandoning Mothula until a later date. Don't really blame him.
Yeah, and so it's one of those, if you get it, great. If not, don't waste your time.
Yeah, exactly.
He will probably check this chest, though, now that he knows it has an item in it.
Yeah, exactly. Although now that he's empty on magic, it makes the Gibdos a little bit tough to deal with, but looks like he's getting through just fine. That switch being a Link to the Past switch.
And 20 rupees.
Big 20
not what he wanted to see.
Definitely not. So it's looking like Oh, I think he's probably gonna maybe exit, re-enter? Yeah, re-enter, death warp to refill his health. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, WinDEU done with his Death Mountain excursions, so he's now going around to the Bonk Rocks and everything like that. I wonder whether he'll be doing Skullwoods next, considering he's a little bit more well-equipped with a maximum of 9 hearts and the Master Sword.
What's interesting here, Jenya's looks like gonna head over to get that graveyard ledge.
Ah, yeah.
And we'll see if he takes a peek what's going on at Bumper Cave. Can't get in there yet, but can certainly get that intelligence.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna check. Nope, looks like he is not checking Lumberjack Cave. Has he checked Lumberjack Cave this so far? I don't think he
I don't
ever did.
believe he has at this point, no.
Well, it's definitely not a concern, but I wonder if that's gonna be something that's in the back of his mind right now. Oh, interesting. So WinDEU just opting to rush the back of Skull Woods, not even bothering doing any of the front rooms, which in this case is definitely going to pay out for him, considering we know Moth has an item. So
yeah. Graveyard Ledge containing a full heart container for Genya.
Oh, and another advantage of him having Book, he can check Ped now. That might be the reason why he rushed the back here, which definitely makes sense.
All right, and so the Ped is dead.
Officially dead. So I wonder though whether he'll still beat Mothula, knowing that. Yeah, it looks like he will, but maybe he just won't. He won't be making Desert Palace a priority after this point.
Yeah, it does give him that ability to be comfortable knowing that he doesn't need to go into and finish off any of the pendant dungeons. He may have to go in to pick up some items, but it certainly isn't going to be a required element for him at this point. We may be running into a small problem here. He's got just enough magic to get through this.
Okay. Yeah, with Master Sword, it's not the biggest deal in the world because Master Sword Moth is significantly better than Fighter Sword Moth, but let's see. Oh, does have to deal with this Gibdo, unfortunately.
And that
nice
for a while.
Very nice hit into those spikes. So it will be interesting to see whether WinDEU can have a little bit more luck with the Mothula fight than Jenja did.
Now, this also means that Jenja's going to, because he has the mirror at this point, he might actually go ahead and take care of Jeremiah.
Yeah, I forgot that WinDEU did not have the mirror the first time he was around here.
And since he's about to pick up the hammer to go along with that, that's going to give him hammer pegs room as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, fairly nice.
Ooh, very close fight.
The only way
well executed on WinDEU's side, and a heart container.
The only way this could be more ideal would have been if he had been to Hype Cave first to pick up that powder.
Yeah,
also get the bat, but unfortunately not the case.
Yeah, with the hammer at Graveyard or Digging Game, there really wouldn't have been a situation in which you would do Hype Cave before doing all of these checks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
hammer dashes here.
I imagine we might see WinDEU do basically these checks immediately after Jenja finishes them.
Ooh, Bombos died.
So we still don't know what Misery Mire is, so we could end up seeing that be required for Mire.
Now this is going to be very efficient. Jenja's going to be able to take the purple lunchbox on a little bit of a world tour. Going to get the Stumpy, K45, Hype Cave, and the lunchbox checks all done at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And Blue Mail.
Yeah, so the Smith's making armor instead of weapons today, but kind of wish you'd done that before heading up to fight Mothula.
Yeah,
although the Blue Mail still doesn't change the damage you take from spikes, but
true. But Moth would do 1 heart instead of 2, which would make it pretty much the same level of danger. I don't think we got to see this when WinDEU was clearing, so let's see what we have in K45.
Oh, just 3 bombs. So Jenja picking up his bottle.
I imagine once Jenja works his way around and gets the taking some damage from pterodactyls on WinDEU's side. Hoo boy.
Yeah, those things, they hurt always, and they're hard to kill.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I just always go the long way around there. Those guys are just scary. But maybe WinDEU's gonna save and quit after this anyway.
So
and Reddering.
Not what you want to find out of the lunchbox there, but it's an item check out of the way.
You know, something that will be interesting is if WinDEU decides to do the Smith sequence next and ends with Purple Chest. I mean, we know Jenja's almost definitely going to go right back towards, towards that flute because he knows where it is. But because WinDEU doesn't, I wonder whether he's just going to go right into Desert instead. Considering he's right there, but...
So there's the magic powder and his master sword. Meanwhile, WinDEU's just finishing up all of these checks that we've already seen on Jenja's side of things. And we're now kind of pulling parity between the two runners again.
Mm-hmm.
Although it looks like Jenja's going to go ahead and deal with Swamp Palace.
Oh, that's right. Swamp is
which
a
is
beautiful
very
crystal
nice
right now.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely makes sense.
And WinDEU carried his path all the way over to turn in this mushroom and go up to Catfish. So we're going to get a couple of new checks there as well.
Yeah, we're going to see a Catfish check, which is new, as well as the Witch's Hut is another new check. So will be very interesting. Very efficient routing on WinDEU's side. Just chaining all of this overworld together. Not to mention he can now buy a blue potion for a little bit of extra safety later on.
Yeah. And just leaving that heart container on the ground, he doesn't want it.
Yeah, definitely at this point, 11 hearts, you're feeling pretty comfortable, I'd imagine. The Cape Caper Flute is on the Lake Hylia ledge.
And 5 arrow capacity upgrade there at Catfish. That's not what anyone wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's no reason for Jenja to go pick up the flute right now when he has this dungeon to complete, so chat's kind of speculating. He'll go get it after he finishes Skull Woods. If he did jump down there and grab it, he'd have to go all the way around and re-enter the Dark World.
Yeah, and I imagine one thing he could potentially do, because at this point, Ice Palace is additionally beatable crystal dungeon. He could get the flute and then just mirror... and then just jump off the ledge right into Ice Palace, clear that.
Mm-hmm. So maximum efficiency is the name of the game here. Jenja picking up 3 more bombs there in the bottom part here of Swamp Palace. He's going to go for the full left side clear.
Looks like WinDEU might just be jumping right into Swamp. Potentially, without doing any of the Smith sequence, which does make sense. Beatable crystal, 6 items.
Mm-hmm.
Should he opt to do it that way? Yep, looks like he is going to be making the play. So our runners both in the same dungeon at this point. Jenja with a little bit of a lead here.
Now, what will be very interesting is that WinDEU's going to be able to head over to the Bombos Medallion tablet
Yeah,
after this is over.
I think that's going to really be kind of a determining factor as far as who has a quote-unquote lead at this point. You know, it's really hard to call early in rando races who really has a lead or not based on how many things we don't know. But if Bombos Medallion does end up having some major progression, I think I would definitely be comfortable calling it a lead on WinDEU's side, but we'll see.
Alternatively, because WinDEU hasn't seen the Flute yet, he might not go check that Lehilia item for a little while. But I would also submit that he's likely to head into Ice Palace shortly as well, and it would be strange not to route at least a look at what's going on that island along that at that same time.
So left side check not really panning out for Jenja here. Just getting one heart piece. Nice sideways walk up the stairs. And Frey in chat pointing out, making a good point that WinDEU does have the green pendant, and if that has any major progression, that could also be very huge.
Yeah, absolutely going to be an impactful. There's a lot of little one-off locations that could have a lot of sway over what the winner of this race is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
The winner of the race will be.
That's one of the reasons why, you know, even 46 minutes into a seed, I really wouldn't feel comfortable saying anybody does or doesn't have a lead yet, because it's just there are so many variables, you know.
Yeah, I like to talk of things in terms of who is in an advantageous position, and that's about as close as I'll go.
Exactly. And both runners having their own sets of advantages in terms of item collection and intel. With, you know, WinDEU having the book, whereas Jenja has the knowledge of the Flute location. So also interesting to note that WinDEU did skip the left side check. So it will be interesting to see whether he opts to go left side or whether he just decides to leave it behind, because there is only one item there.
Yeah, it's just a piece of heart and a key on the left side, so it's not great, but he's not going to be able to know that. And of course, Argus is looking to drop the big key here.
Yeah, if Argus doesn't drop big key, we'll know that it's in the big chest.
Yeah.
Jenja with some nice double puff strats here. That's definitely the spacing on getting both puffs out of there is not as easy as it looks. Those hitboxes can be pretty wonky.
He's got one fire rod shot. Of course, Argus is in the middle of spinning his puffs, so didn't have any puffs to spin, but that's what he was doing there. Looked like he was stuck, but... Excellent work there.
So Big Chest has the big key.
Yeah, that's actually beneficial for Jenja here, because he's not going to feel he's not obligated to head back into the dungeon, whereas WinDEU is probably going to go in knowing that there's those chests left behind.
Yeah, although, I mean, if WinDEU has been counting items, he should know at this point then that is... The left side only has one progression item, or one item, non-dungeon item left. So it'll be interesting to see whether he decides that the 2-minute time investment is worth it for a single item, or whether he's gonna be a little riskier and leave it behind.
But since he's missing so much, it's really hard to make the call not to go. Like, there are a lot of items that could be that would be useful.
Absolutely, and so I definitely don't fault him for going back in. In this case, we know that it is not the correct play, quote unquote, but it's definitely a sensible one. Don't blame him at all for it.
So as you correctly guessed, Jenja gonna go right from picking up the flute into Ice Palace. He's got everything he needs to clear this dungeon.
Yeah, which is really interesting seeing, just because of the crystal layout and the items that we've gotten up to this point. Usually Swamp Palace and Ice Palace are two dungeons that people avoid like the plague if they can, because they want to be able to go mode both of them. Because the difference between go mode and full clear for both of these dungeons is really, really large. But
Yeah,
looks like
they turn into like 2.5 to 3 minute dungeons each.
Yeah.
When you're go moding them.
Especially Swamp. Swamp is just insane how much faster it is to just not check any chests.
Yes, since you don't need the big key to finish it off, it's just a straight run up to the back.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. System in chat pointing out neither runner did Ice Rod Cave this run.
Mm-hmm.
I had completely forgotten about that.
With the flute and boots, Jenja's gonna have a fairly easy time checking it, because it's actually the pretty much the best case scenario for him to have those items in order to make that check.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably why both runners skipped it. Was their logic was, well, it takes a long time when I don't have boots, and I can just come back once I get flute and boots.
Yeah, and they had so many additional places to go at that point where they had full Dark World access. They were... Paradox Cave was so nice to them, giving them Titan's Mitts, Moon Pearl, and a sword, that it was just too strong of a call to not go there. Oh, that last...
Alright, so we'll see here whether WinDEU decides to chain Bombo's tablet into like a desert area check, or... Unfortunately, so that confirms Thief's Town, unfortunately, is not really a requirement.
Yeah, it does mean that he can check Agina's cave here too, which could potentially pay off. But you have to believe that as soon as the flute is activated on Jenja's side of things, he's going to go do a Misery Mire check and mirror back to check this cave as well. So it won't be a big advantage. And it's just a piece of heart, so... About the only thing the book is providing WinDEU right now is knowledge that he doesn't have to clear any of the pendant dungeons, because the pedestal being dead doesn't equate to the need to kill those. He is going to get a look here, hopefully, for his sake, at the island before heading into Ice Palace.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, based on his direction of swimming, looks like he will make that check, so... He'll at least know that is something that exists, so after Ice Palace, he'll likely just go back to Link's house, go into that warp by his house, and then grab that flute.
Meanwhile, the Ice Palace play hasn't really netted anything tremendous for Jenja. Just a extra bottle right now.
So interestingly, I feel like, what do we have left at this point? I think we've got Sahasrara, Eastern, partial clear of Palace of Darkness, and or actually no, we have the Mire area, so that's probably going to be the next play.
And there is, of course, the potential for vanilla bow type situation.
Yeah. Which,
it's
honestly,
already,
I never want to see.
It's already looking like Lantern is likely over there. just from the way that the seed is played out. Excellent bomb jump there on Jenya's side of things to collect this last chest. He's actually been taking a very neat route through Ice Palace here.
Yeah, I really like this this route through Ice Palace. It always feels very clean. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that means Cold Stare will have an item.
Yeah, and it also, as chat correctly points out, when Jenya returns to activate the Flute, he's going to get Sick Kid, he's going to get the Mad Batter. So it's going to be very efficient for him to make some of these checks. Like his next stage of the game is going to be very comfortable feeling.
Nope. And WinDEU just deciding, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with this. I'm just gonna reset the room here. Very nice. Getting that bomb jump first try. Which will be nice. He should be able to preserve his blue potion that he has now. So he could potentially use it on Cold Stare to make that fight significantly more comfortable.
Yeah, Jenya actually having a little rough time here with the Master Sword. Cold Stare didn't get a good start where he locked Cold Stare in the corner.
Huh. So Cold Stare had a small key.
Yeah, I think we saw money. There was a full heart container.
Okay, so I guess let's see. Oh, interesting routing on WinDEU's side here. Opting to fall down instead of doing the bomb jumps and all of that.
And there was a bottle. And so with that, the goose is loose. As Jenya now has access to the flute, Sick Kid really wants to look at that bottle, and in return provides half magic. Very nice.
That is a very generous Sick Kid.
Yeah, that's always a really nice feeling when you're a runner. It's not one of the items that you typically will go out of your way for, but getting it just makes the late game a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And the Mad Batter check now, providing a curse of some kind. Let's see what it is.
It is the curse of
The Cane of Samaria.
Ooh.
So that's going to feel amazing because his next play is, of course, going to be to head to Misery Mire, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as he's comfortable with those dark rooms, which are probably some of the more challenging dark rooms to deal with, it's going to be full clearable as long as Bombos is the medallion necessary. So we'll find that out in just a few moments.
33% chance that that he's able to full clear Mire right now.
So Powder from Hype Cave, and it is not. It looked like that was Ether.
Vanilla Ether. So actually Vanilla Pendants this time, or medallions. Quake for Turtle Rock and Ether for Mire. So Bombos confirmed useless.
Well, it killed Cold Stare, or at least unlocked him. Picking up a Tempered Sword here in the Mire Shed is nice.
Very nice. Crispy bacon.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jenya do the Desert Palace. He's here, at least with the boots.
Ooh.
You know you're going to be able to grab those 2 items.
WinDEU not having enough magic for to unlock Cold Stare. I wonder if he knows about the magic jars in the room to the right above him. Because, yeah, unfortunately, with the route he did take, he ended up taking a couple hits from an anti-fairy. Just go to the right. Okay, yeah, there are three magic
there are
pots.
lots of there's magic pots here.
No,
Pick up those hearts. Oh, I thought he was gonna go back out.
No, he's just baiting the bunny beam. There we go. All right.
Whew. So boots were required here in Desert Palace, but Jenya glad to have them. Gonna go look for that key over here in the big key chest first, or perhaps one of the items.
Yeah, I feel like Desert Palace, of all the pendant dungeons you could have, Desert Palace is one of like the most painless, especially with boots. It's just such a quick dungeon, and you know, full clear route is pretty short. So one thing that's important to note on WinDEU's side is compared to Jenya had the blue mail in this fight, whereas WinDEU has green mail. So he'll be taking quite a lot of damage from these puffs, so you'll understandably see him probably playing it pretty safe here, considering how much damage the puffs do.
So looks like our last item here in Desert Palace is on Ledmolis.
Very nice fight from WinDEU. Only took damage from the falling ice blocks, so was able to pull it out pretty fine. So I imagine WinDEU's probably going to be going and grabbing his flute right about now.
Yeah, for sure that would be the plan he makes. And then that's going to lead him to Sick Kid / Mad Batter.
Although I wonder whether he ends up doing the full Smith sequence at that point, considering he hasn't touched any of that sequence or any of the mirror lock locations.
I believe that's very likely the case. It's just hard to pass up that kind of road efficiency. Jenya getting really nice one cycle, just missed once. On Ledmolis gets 5 arrow capacity upgrade along with that red pendant. Not anything from Desert, so ultimately a time sink, but there's no way to know that that's the case.
So I wonder where do they need to go? I guess at this point it's either Pod or Eastern.
Jenya's gonna look at Agina's Cave, and I wonder if that might make him think of Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, I wonder, because oh yeah, we could potentially see that.
And now we've already seen this one, of course, on WinDEU's side, so it's not going to be anything to write home about. I believe just some heart container. Yep, full heart. And since he's not saving and quitting, he's planning to flute somewhere.
Actually, I think if you just plan on fluting, it's actually like a fraction of a second faster to save and quit to Link's house and just dash out.
And looks like he's going to go... might be heading into Thieves Town here.
Oh, yeah, he did leave Thieves Town behind, and he never beat Mothula. So I wonder whether he's going to be opting to clear the pendants. He doesn't know that Pet is Zed. So I wonder whether he's going to...
He's going
for a rematch.
Now, this will put him at parity with WinDEU as far as the pendant, having that green pendant. Which is potentially a good thing. We know that going into Thieves Town is a total time sink for him. Won't be a benefit.
Yeah, but I wonder, now that he'll have 2 out of the 3 pendants, I wonder if he's going to opt to just go into Thief's Town, because that will essentially make Thief's Town 5 items, because it'll be 4 items plus pendant, or plus...
If he was thinking of a blind pull, I would imagine he would have done that. He would have gone to Thieves Town first and finished Skullwoods off last.
That's true, yeah.
So he isn't losing time to WinDEU at this point, because WinDEU has to do this is going to do this entire south route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jenja much more well-equipped this time around. Half magic, blue mail, max of 12 hearts instead of 7, tempered sword instead of fighter. So
yeah, he'll
I
make
think we'll
short work
probably
of.
exactly.
Mothula will not be a problem. And yeah, perhaps he's thinking to himself, I'm heading over to Eastern Palace, the Palace of Darkness area.
Yeah, maybe it'll be nice to have that green pendant in hand.
It's a quick enough check, and we'll see if it pays off.
Plus, this is technically 2 items for him because he never got the heart container here. So for all he knew, that could have been a progression item. I wonder whether WinDEU forgot about Sick Kid at this point, because he didn't check it immediately after activating Flute.
So Jenja is mirroring over and his intention is to flute. So if he flutes over to 5... Oh, he's going to go do Witch. He hasn't done that yet.
Yeah. Makes sense. Mushroom check becomes pretty trivial time investment-wise once you get Flute.
Yeah, and he can grab a couple of potions here just to have them in his pocket. Might as well. So even as we know this doesn't pay off as far as the container's concerned, getting that blue goo, he's going to hang on to that B, though. And WinDEU does recall Sick Kid's got something for him, picks up that half magic.
And I forget what did...
Jenja's blowing on that flute again. I think he might be going down to Ice Rod Cave first.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. It's a much faster single item check, and if this ends up being Bow, he definitely wouldn't want to double dip Eastern and Pod only to discover Bow is available to him the entire game. And since WinDEU already checked Bombo's tablet, it's just fluting right over to the purple chest. And 50 rupees from Ice Rod Cave. So it officially has to be either Sahasrara, Palace of Darkness, or Eastern Palace. That is the next progression.
Well, we may find Lantern as well.
I think we have to
at some point.
Yeah, we have to find Lantern from one of those 3 areas. Which will finally put our runners back in sequence. They've technically been sequence broken this entire time.
Yeah.
But of all the sequence breaks, Lamp is definitely the most trivial. There are plenty of runners who just kind of don't care about being on sequence once they get Fire Rod.
So we'll get our Sahasrara Hut check. 4 items to be had here. Turns out that Quake Medallion, so that's a required item.
Okay.
Just not the one that they wanted to find at this point.
Frustration Bomb on Sahasrara there. So unfortunately, Quake being the medallion he gets instead of Ether, he actually can't beat Turtle Rock yet.
Right, but with so many checks in there, there's a great chance that the Ice Rod will be in Turtle Rock. And it's happened so frequently in V29 that it's got to weigh heavily on his mind. And I believe that's why Jenja decided to throw a few slashes Sahasrara's way.
Yeah, it's definitely not a choice you want to have to make. You know, it's always nice to just get an early Ice Rod, not have to deal with the thought of, oh, is this a necessary double dip or not?
And I think if you're Jenya and you get bow locked here, in the event that you are bow locked, you just stop Palace of Darkness. Oh, there you go.
Well.
So you can see he throws a bomb there just to spite the game, and well, at least it gives him access to Palace of Darkness right from this point on.
Yeah, so
You don't have a key yet, my friend. He's gonna have to go do the bow lock side. So that's actually, although he put a bomb in that treasure chest, it's actually a nice thing for him at this case. He is going to be able to complete this and Eastern Palace dungeon, which means that a lot of opportunity to potentially find that ice rod that's necessary for Turtle Rock before heading into Turtle Rock, which is just comfortable.
Exactly. And so, should he end up having Turtle Rock be his only available play after this, it's his only play, so he's going to have to do it. But he hasn't, had to make any inefficient plays or gambles for it.
Yeah, and this just goes to show us WinDEU making the exact same play in technically the same position. As far as item situation and crystal location, just how close these players are to one another. They've clearly taken some slightly different routes to get here, but it's very close. There's the lantern.
There's the lamp. So now Jenya, for the first time in, gosh, 45 minutes, he's finally on sequence again.
Absolutely fully on sequence, as well as an ice rod away and a ether medallion away from go.
Yeah, so I think at this point, supposing WinDEU doesn't end up checking Desert Palace, which I can't imagine he will, I guess I would have to give a slight advantage to Jenya here because they are both in basically the exact same position in terms of items and checks.
Yeah, they're going to have a very linear 10 to 15 minutes of this seed.
Interesting. WinDEU opting to do Eastern first.
Well, you know what? WinDEU's probably thinking that Palace of Darkness is still technically out of sequence because of the lack of lantern. There's more chests to find here in Eastern Palace. Maybe he's also more comfortable with the Eastern Palace dark rooms than the dark rooms in
Palace of Darkness. That's possible. Although with 14 hearts and blue mail and mirror, it's not too big of a deal. Also fire rod.
Finding a shovel there in Palace of Darkness on Jenya's side. So fetch quest. When you're still on the hunt for the ice rod, finding a fetch quest is one of the worst things.
Yeah.
It means you are going to feel like you have to go do it before you head to Turtle Rock. Eastern Palace netting a piece of heart for WinDEU. Jenya picks up the big key.
And also something... actually, never mind. No, WinDEU did check Meyer area, so he does know what both of the medallions are as well.
So there's Arcana Burna, which again activates Spike Cave for logic for Jenya. So that's another item location now put in sequence. And the bug net, so...
So he's basically in go mode at this point.
Well, presumably. There's also Pyramid Fairy will be available after killing Eastern Palace. And I don't think anyone has shown us Pyramid Ledge yet either.
So interesting. Let's see. What items did WinDEU get so far? I think he has 2. Shovel and a heart piece?
Oh, Shovel was on Jenya's side.
No. Trying to think what WinDEU's first item was. Already forgetting, but I can't tell whether this is a gamble or 50-50, but...
Well, he needs the crystal anyway, so...
True. Although going back for the vanilla big key does take quite a bit more time if like from the entrance as opposed to going around the first time. But looks like it did pay out, saved about a minute there over a full clear.
So Palace of Darkness having both the bow and the lamp is very nice.
Yeah, so at this point it is looking like, well, you know, something could be at Pyramid Fairy. So I wonder whether they're going to do Pyramid Fairy before going on up to Turtle Rock.
Oh, at this point you have to, and if you're Jenja and WinDEU, you're also going to do that shovel spot. There's no way you go up with leaving some easy to get one-off fetch quest locations on the table. Unless you're feeling incredibly far behind and you want to make a gamble.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of them are feeling like they've made a lot of mistakes in their routing at this point. And Helmsar King goes down on Jenja's side of things.
Alright, so he is probably going to be working on Eastern Palace while WinDEU is finishing up Palace of Darkness.
And WinDEU's got to be going, oh, I could have just stayed here in Palace of Darkness and got rid of that.
Yeah.
As he picks up that lantern.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear his logic for going into Eastern. I imagine it probably would be something to do with, well, if Lamp is in Eastern, it'll speed up my clear of Palace of Darkness. You know, even if you feel comfortable doing dark rooms, it's definitely not faster than having Lamp.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see whether Jenja opts to go for the vanilla big key, which WinDEU skipped. That would give WinDEU about a minute back over Jenja.
And yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see. I'm wondering, like, WinDEU, it almost looked like he was trying to dodge the lantern, the dark rooms. Maybe that was why he didn't go to the vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, it's possible. Because with the fire rod, he was able to light up that last room. Looks like Jenja is opting for vanilla big key, so this is about a minute that WinDEU is going to make up on Jenja here.
It might be a little less because he has boots,
True.
but it's still
a pretty sizable chunk of time.
Yeah. In a race this close, every second matches. Or every second matters. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Both runners now just cleaning up what we've already seen, although this item that we're about to see on Jenja's side we haven't seen, but it should be just the map. And
I believe WinDEU was counting his items because I think he left the big chest behind. So I'm pretty sure he probably counted, oh, I got 5 items, so that big chest is nothing. So opting to just finish up Helma right now.
So with the flute, after they've both come out of here, I would be very surprised that they don't just automatically make a beeline to the pyramid, then mirror over and check the dig spot before heading up to Turtle Rock. It's just going to be a natural progression for things.
Yeah, definitely. If they're feeling a little bit spicy, they could go up to maybe Spike Cave and or Turtle Rock, but that would definitely be a little risky.
Yeah, when you're still looking technically for 2 items, it's really hard to like skip out on any of the one-off locations.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the worst thing that could happen would be something like Ether in Turtle Rock and Vitreous holding on to the ice pallet or ice rod,
Ice Rod, yeah, that. Oh man.
requiring
Oh
double
man.
dibs.
Of both.
So Jenya actually going to flute over, go right to dig spot.
Yeah, and then I imagine after dig spot, maybe he'll flute to 4 again, and then just take the warp over to.
Might be interesting. He may not recall that is the second 5/6 crystal. If he's not looking at that part of his map check.
That is true. Just a big 20.
It's right there. You've got both those red crystals.
Looks like he is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to head back down to the dark portal here.
I have to wonder whether Jenya is going to opt for Thief's Town over Turtle Rock. Same with WinDEU at this point, I guess, going for Desert instead of Turtle Rock, because Desert is a pretty quick check.
And that would almost be a bad thing for Jenya, because it'll give him the book.
Ooh,
And
the
it looks like
spicy plays.
WinDEU's going full out for it. He's going to give us the Turtle Rock check.
Or at the very least, Spike Cave. I wonder whether he will opt to go straight to Turtle Rock after this. It would. I feel like it would make sense to do when you're in this position, but... Or actually, no, because you're going to save and quit out of Spike Cave, so I guess it's kind of the same, really.
Yep, this is another one of these one-off locations that could definitely be required.
Yeah, Spike Cave is one of those things that's, if you don't get it on your initial Death Mountain clear, it's so hard to actually get.
Well, just
And
10
just
arrows. Looks like he's going to make his way out. Well, there's Ether and the Mirror Shield. So Jenya picks up the ability to clear out Misery Mire.
Okay, yeah. So I guess in that case, that.
But he's going to head over to. He's got Catfish, I think, to check still.
So yeah, he never did check Catfish. So yeah, looks like WinDEU will be making the Turtle Rock play at this point.
Yeah, now this could definitely pay off, but it's
very risky. Because Ice Rod could be in Misery Mire, but it very well could be in Turtle Rock as well. Turtle Rock, at this point, I think statistically is more likely because you've got 5 items to Misery Mire's 2, 6 if you count Mimic Cave. But it's still pretty risky.
Well, he doesn't have access to anywhere else. It is, at this point, the most items available for him to check.
Yeah.
So it makes absolute logical sense for him to go here, especially if he's forgetting that he needs to deal with the Pyramid Fairy. Jenya, on the other hand, is full on heading over to Misery Mire at this point. And we'll get a full clear.
It's definitely interesting. I feel like on neither side is there a bad play going on. It's just going to come down to which one is the correct play. And that's something that just happens in Randomizer a lot. A lot of like 50-50s, you know. Well, it could be here, it could be there. Flip a coin. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong.
We do get the frozen bird.
Will we get?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Bird toss. No, saved. Tossing him to the right.
Yeah, shallow bird toss.
Yeah, giving him a little bit of a bath, but not drowning him. So
What's very interesting here is, as you were saying, like both of these choices could be correct, or both of them. You know, one might be right, one might be wrong per se. But the other interesting thing is they could both be a correct choice. Ice Rod could be here in Turtle Rock, and that's the right move to make. And at the same time, there's nothing wrong with going and getting this crystal out of Misery Mire.
yeah, absolutely.
It could even be just the nature of the way Misery Mire is laid out with Randomizer. It could be that you have to full clear it anyway just to find the big key. So it might not actually have been even a time save at all if you could go mode it. So a Butter Sword there as the first chest. Certainly not something that you desperately want, but never going to say no to it.
Yeah, opens up the potential for like a, you know, little tiny time save on Trinex for Jenya, because it opens up the potential for a 0 cycle as opposed to a 1 cycle.
With half magic and the Cane of Burna, it's actually a speed increase on the Vitreous skill as well, because you don't need to waste time shooting arrows anymore. You can just go and do a bunch of spam slashes.
True, although with Cane of Burna, there is a lot of extra lag that's introduced with that item. So I'm not actually sure what would be faster considering he has silvers.
Yeah, I think one time I did time it and found it to be a benefit. Not a lot, but
yeah, every little bit helps.
So Chad asks, has Desert been looted by Jenya? Yes. But Win has not. So here on the Vanilla Big Key location in Turtle Rock, we find the compass. That doesn't help. And Jenya is about to give us the longest cut show in the game, or cutscene in the game. Not really the longest cutscene in the game, just feels like it.
Yeah.
Because it happens while you don't get to see anything taking place. But I don't think it's any faster or shorter or longer than some of the other screen transitions.
So yeah, one thing we don't know yet, but should Jenya end up with his second item here in Misery Mire, and it is not the Ice Rod, then we know that WinDEU has, is not going to need to double dip this dungeon. But until then, we are kind of on our toes, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of if there are any other locations that we haven't seen outside of what we're doing right now.
I really can't think of any. Because we've seen all of the one-off locations, really. We've seen Ice Rod Cave, seen Spike Cave. There's the big key.
And that's...
Did Jenya already get his second item?
There's Vitreous as well still.
Yeah, but he got the big key and opted not to check the big chest.
Yeah, he didn't go for the big key, the big chest.
I wonder whether he already got the second item and I just missed it, or whether he's just taking a 50-50 and going for Vitreous instead.
Well, you can also take this 50-50, and if it's wrong, it's not awful to go back for the big key chest. It's not great, but it's not awful.
Yeah, although going back through Mire 2 and everything like that is definitely not ideal. It's definitely, I would say it's probably faster to check the big chest and be wrong as opposed to...
yeah, I agree.
So
we are seeing a spooky action setup. I'm not sure if we're gonna... We didn't get it though. Or he abandoned it.
Alright, so here we go. It comes down to this for WinDEU. If Ice Rod is not on Laser Bridge, he needs to leave. Which will give Jenya a huge advantage in terms of time.
Oh!
Oh my goodness.
Not meant to be.
Man, and that was even just looking at the item locations we had left. That was like statistically the more likely location for Ice Rod, and it looks like just not working out for WinDEU today. So that does give Jenya a huge advantage here.
And the key.
So Jenya now needs to go back. So we now, I believe, know that the Misery Mire Big Chest has the Ice Rod.
Now, the big problem here is that Jenya has a bunch of dungeon items in Thieves Town that could be pulling him that way. He is going to go to the big key chest, so thankfully not playing the numbers game.
Yeah. That would have been one thing that would have been a huge boon for WinDEU. If he had just skipped and gone to Turtle Rock, then I would say that would give WinDEU a really, really good shot here.
Yeah, so while it is probably faster to have gone and checked the big key chest right off the bat, this isn't a very long gamble when you have boots. And there it is.
There it is. There's the Ice Rod, man.
So at 1 hour and 30 minutes, 56 seconds, Jenya hits go mode.
Yeah, and so this is just another one of those examples where, you know, WinDEU definitely did not make a bad play going into Turtle Rock right there. It was just not the correct one.
Yeah. And he is going to be able to fly through the dungeon on his right to the Trinex, but it is still a fairly long trek. So it isn't ideal, that is for certain.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, I wasn't paying super close attention to the item layout. I'm not sure whether it was a...
Big key was in the very first chest in
Yeah.
Thieves Town, so he just needs the keys and he can start skipping. He does need a key, I think, on Laser Bridge. But only one. Oh, dead rocked. Feels bad, man. And it was Misery Mire is not a fast go mode.
Yeah, definitely not, especially with that big key location. Only thing that could help him is if he opted to go the route of, instead of checking I think it's the compass chest into big key or vanilla big key, if he just went to the location that the big key actually is this time and then went right into the big chest. That could save him a good amount of time, but
yeah, that's a hard call to make. It can happen, but
yeah, definitely. I know there are some people who like to do that because they like to avoid that really long cutscene for the vanilla big key, but I don't know. We will see.
At least he threw that pterodactyl into the water.
Exactly. Tossing that
Get out of
bird,
here.
making those memes live.
So big key here for Jenya. A couple of extra bonks though along the way. And he'll have the butter sword for his way through this, which doesn't really speed things up.
Huh. I never knew about that ferry location on WinDEU's side. It was just a random pot that he just powdered. And I guess there's a bunny beam.
Oh, there's a bunny beam under it, yeah. Not something that you end up having to deal with very often.
Although makes sense considering he'll have to take some damage to get this key coming up here.
So it's just like that. One decision can really sway the progression of the seed for a runner. So WinDEU, unfortunately for him, trying to make that rough call to head up to Chain Chomp eating. that Samaria block.
Oh my gosh.
They are
having a
trolling
bit
him
of a
hard.
time. But yeah, definitely. I mean, the match was very tight up until that split decision on Pyramid Fairy versus Turtle Rock there. Ooh, maybe. I don't know if WinDEU is just going back for the chest here. He could potentially make the call here to go back for the right side, which would save him a good amount of time. But looks like he is not, unfortunately.
So Jenja is going to get some time picked up here by not having to trade in that key. So stealing the key from the Pokey there will help. Additionally, he's not going to go through Mimic Cave.
Exactly, yeah.
I wonder if we'll see some slashes of anger at that big key location when WinDEU picks up his Ice Rod.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't fault him for it at all.
Yeah, we definitely have seen a couple of I think WinDEU realizing he does not have the big key here, but opting to just use this room as a way to get to that big key location. Hopefully he goes back for that chest and doesn't make the same call as Jenja did to rush Vidi.
Yeah, by going out here, he's definitely heading south.
Yeah, although he could have just jumped off the ledge to the south here instead of coming up this way, but... good call to powder the fairy right there. 2.5 hearts is not ideal.
Jenja getting a nice double 2 switch hits off that Samaria block, and there's the Ice Rod for WinDEU. You know, it hurts. He had to know that it was here somewhere, but it hurts to see it.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it wasn't here, it had to be desert for him, but...
Ooh, Jenja getting a really nice 1 cycle, nice. 0 cycle, I guess, technically.
Yeah. So there is that time save that the Butter Sword can give you on Trinex. Only like, I think 5 seconds, something like that, but
yeah, no, that's...
still always feels good to get.
Very nice. And so with that, we have a time to enter Ganon's tower.
So there are 22 chests inside Ganon's tower that can have the big key. Get in your guesses right now on what chest you think that key location will be in. Where are you thinking the big key might be located?
You know what? I love it when it's on the torch, so I'm going to go with number 3. It's just my thing.
I'm going to go with 9. I'm feeling 9 right now.
So as long as you are a subscriber to one of the Speed Gaming family of channels, or you've donated 250 bits, your guess is going to be counted towards potentially making your name appear on the leaderboard. We've got about 10-15 seconds until the numbers will stop, so please make sure you've put a number in, and we'll be on our way. So number 1 turns out to be 10 arrow capacity upgrade there, a small key. And Jenja's going to go full right side now with the having found that key. Throwing off my guess for the number 3 location to be the torch.
Yeah, I feel like the right side strat definitely has fallen out of vogue a little bit compared to the fall tournament. During the fall tournament, it was a very common play, but I think people kind of realized, hey, this isn't really working out very much of the time. It's definitely less likely for it to be here, but...
Red mail in 3, there's the compass in 4, a heart container in 5, and the bloomerang in 6.
So if I'm not mistaken, 9 is going to be the second chest in the Skulltula room, or Stalfos room. Skulltula, I need to stop watching so much Ocarina of Time Randomizer.
So, small key there on the torch for item number 7. Eight is a big 29, and there's the big key on number 9!
This is the first time I've ever been right on one of these things.
Correct answer is number 9. Unfortunately, we spoiled the chat a little bit there. I'm sorry. But congratulations if you picked number 9. And nobody had number 9. The closest number was Ravis 10, who had picked 10. Goes along with his name. So congratulations, you've now earned a spot on the leaderboard, where your name will forever be emblazoned until such time as we decide to delete it. And Jenja is going to make his way up the gauntlet now. Significant advantage here in time and on WinDEU. It's going to take a significant execution
number of
failure.
falls, yeah.
Now his arrow count is relatively low, but high enough that he's going to be able to defeat all of the creatures that he needs to, and probably pick up a couple on the way.
Yeah, there's an arrow drop in the top right corner here, and there's another one immediately after Landmo 2. But with Buttersword, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, especially with him having Fire Rod out right now.
Yeah, half match. This gauntlet, that room taking a little bit more time than I'm sure he would have liked to have seen. But makes up for it on this first ice room. Second ice room, ooh, also going relatively quickly. An unfortunate bonk followed by that fireball from never feels good. He's going to have to use the powder here to create a fairy. Now he has pulled out the bow for Landmolis, which...
Yeah, if you stop to powder that fairy, getting a one-cycle Landmo with silvers is really difficult.
Yeah, and he's going to want to hang on to these last arrows, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite parts of the Ganon Tower climb, the Wizrobe rooms. It's just so satisfying to one-cycle these guys.
Absolutely. Feels really nice. It definitely feels like, especially that first Wizrobe room, it feels like it was designed with that strat in mind. Of like, hey, we never have people use Cane of Samaria offensively. Let's make a room where it's absolutely perfect.
So here we're going to see a one-cycle on WinDEU's side for the Trinex kill. Not the elusive zero-cycle. The neck did shoot out one time.
So it does look like, at the rate things are going, WinDEU will definitely be inside Ganon's tower. Depending on which side he chooses, he will probably have gotten his big key by the time Jenya finishes his run. So I know for me personally, that's always one of my metrics on like, am I happy with losing? Is, hey, am I at least inside GT when my opponent finishes? If yes, then not too terribly upset.
Yeah, then it was close. And really, it's going to have come down to, I think, at this point, since WinDEU didn't make any major gameplay errors along the way, it's going to be that trip into Thieves Town that really made the difference. It was a little bit longer than the Desert Palace trip that Jenya made. Jenya showing disdain for that final chest.
Yeah, definitely. It came down to that, and also just the 50-50 on Turtle Rock or Pyramid Fairy. It really was just down to that. I think it would have been an incredibly close race if WinDEU had decided to go Pyramid Fairy.
Looks like we may have just had a nice triple.
Almost
followed by a double.
Triple. But 3-cycle is still very good, and WinDEU deciding to go right side as well. Interesting.
So 3-2-1 for Aga 2. Again, thrown down. With Butter Sword, it's very easy to one-cycle each of these phases. It's actually surprising not to.
Yeah, it's, you know, they're very... I try to avoid, you know, using the word free very often on any speed-related strat, but getting the 1-in-1 with Butter Sword is pretty close.
So we're just looking at 4 arrows into Ganon. But he's teleporting all over the place today. Making Jenya have to work for it. Now, of course, in Randomizer, the amount of teleports are synced between both players, so this is standard. Everyone has the same boss fight. Oh, no torch glitch, but...
Yeah, with silvers, that's not really a big deal. In fact, I prefer not getting torch glitch, so you can set up a triple exactly like that.
Exactly like that.
Very
Beautiful
nice.
finish on Jenya's side there, yes. And as long as he's going to be able to walk across this 3-wide, deadliest bridge in all of Hyrule, we're going to see him come out victorious in this race with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 2 seconds. Congratulations to Jenya for getting the first win on this best-of-3 contest. And it turns out that their race, their second race, is going to be back-to-back with this particular race. So we'll see if after WinDEU finishes, time for a couple of minutes to chat with both the runners. But there's a good chance that they're going to want to be getting ready for their second matchup. So let's just pay attention to WinDEU as he cleans up his gauntlet. Gonna use Ether here to take care of these guys.
Yeah, medallion strats can be kind of nice if you don't want to have to deal with any of their really poor RNG patterns.
So, second Wizrobe is taken care of by WinDEU, and he's on his way into this glorious light the torch room.
Opting to fall to take some damage and avoid the fire bar.
Yeah, it's surprising to me how much more stressful I know personally when I'm playing that I find that room than many of the previous other rooms in the Gauntlet.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you've got low magic and you don't have half magic, it can be really scary, honestly.
WinDEU choosing not to grab that magic refill.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see whether he decides to get this last chest.
I'm going to go with no.
Probably no. I know for me, though, sometimes, just out of morbid curiosity... Oh. Yep. Especially if I look over and, you know, I don't know how closely he's watching the speed racing race chat, but, you know, if he already has seen Jenja finish, you know, doesn't need to rush as much. Can take his time and check a couple chests. Narrowly avoiding the triple there.
Ooh, a very nice double on that. Nice. That was not an easy one.
No, that was a really awkward angle. So 4 cycle, definitely not bad at all. I would say anything within 4 cycles is like, that's a pretty decent Aga 2.
And provided WinDEU's able to make a quick work here of Ganon, quick is relative considering the number of teleportations Ganon's going to do in Phase 3. We're going to see him close out this race fairly soon. So you can see him take a little pause there. The game doesn't register the second phase hits until he starts spinning his trident. So there's no reason to spam sword shots on Ganon there. WinDEU electing to take that torch glitch. And finishing off Ganon. Congratulations to WinDEU for finishing up the race relatively quickly. Did not end up getting defeated by the dangerous boss here. And again, as long as he's able to correctly cross this 3-tile wide platform, he's going to finish the race with an official Speed Racing TV time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 21 seconds. So just a few minutes behind. And hopefully we'll be able to grab both these gentlemen, bring them into the chat now that they've finished the race. Get a few words with them before they move on to their second matchup of the day.
Yeah, which, for anybody not aware, their race 2 is happening on Speed Gaming 2, this same channel, in about 30 minutes or so. So be sure to stay tuned for that. There will be a slight break here, but yeah, make sure you guys keep watching. The next race should be very fun to watch as well.
Okay, and so we can welcome Jenya into the channel now. Jenya, take your mute off. Congratulations on grabbing that first victory of this bracket matchup.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, GG.
Yeah, congratulations. We don't want to take too much of your time. Of course, we know that you're heading off to the second match in just a
It's
few
all
minutes.
good. Don't worry.
But just would like to, if you have any thoughts on that seed, it was kind of an interesting one. Took a little bit longer than most, but really well done.
Yeah, I mean, it took longer than I expected because at the start, I mean, I kept getting item after item at the start, especially after quickly sequence breaking into Death Mountain. I mean, it dragged out a little bit because obviously some key items were in very, very cryptic or hidden spots. I guess if you didn't actually sequence break in the seed, this would have actually been even better because you just, would have not gotten the entire Death Mountain stuff. But yeah, I mean, that bow is, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I never got around to that area, and I mean, why would you ever if you already have Dark World access and you get everything in the mini Moldom cave? So I didn't feel too bad. It's not like I felt like my opponent could have gotten that bow very early. So I don't know. I didn't feel too bad. Of course, I felt bad after I died to Marcia, but
yeah, and that was an interesting play there. Turns out that Mothula was going to be required. So Ursula did have one of the, I believe it was the Quake medallion. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Quake.
Yeah, I'm glad I went back for that because I figured, okay, I'm gonna go into that area anyway. So Mothula has an item plus the green pendant. Plus at that point, it was pretty easy for me to kill it. So I decided, might as well just go for it because of the green pendant, basically.
Yeah, I believe you did plant a bomb on Saharshala's face after he painted.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, he tried. He tried very hard.
Yeah, and the most interesting, the real route divergence between you and WinDEU happened mostly like just in a 50-50 after Pod and Eastern. You were both clearing up that area at pretty much exactly the same time. And you decided to go Pyramid Fairy immediately, which got you Ether and Mire into Ice Rod. Whereas WinDEU opted to take the 50-50 and go right into Turtle Rock without Ice Rod. Which, made sense considering, realistically, they had the same number of items. Mire has 2, Pyramid Fairy has 2, Dig Spot plus Pyramid had 1, so both of them had 6 items, so it really was just a coin flip. But yeah, that Ice Rod being in Misery Mire is really what sealed the deal for you.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like on average, there is 1 item in. Oh, no, I mean, I don't know the exact mathematics here, but I want to say it's very likely because of 2 items missing that there is 1 item in the fairy. And I think I also did the shovel or something. So I went to do those 3 items. And actually, I think I did 4. I also had catfish. So that's why I'd gone for that, because obviously if you go into TR without and not get those items, then you just have a terrible time loss. Yeah. I mean, I can still see that decision. So.
Yeah, it was really a gut call for WinDEU to make, gut check call, but didn't pay off for him at this point. And so that puts you up 1-0 in the bracket stages, so we don't want to keep you again. I know that you probably want to stretch your legs a little bit in the 15 minutes before your next race has to start. But we look forward to watching because you're going to be on this exact channel in just under half an hour. And so good luck and congratulations on the first win, and we'll speak to you soon when the second race is over.
Thank you guys very much for commentating. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be signing off as the second crew takes over for the second race. Just a reminder, if you would like, and I highly encourage you, is to throw both of the runners, Jenja and WinDEU, a follow. Their channels have been spammed in the chat as well as our tracker today, who kept all of those lights lit up at the bottom of the screen, Karito86. Thank you for tracking. Did a fantastic job. In fact, he's racing over to start another tracking job immediately following this one. So he's having a busy day. My name was Crozone80. Thanks very much. And I was joined by Cransoon here. Thanks for watching. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, it was an exciting race. I'm really excited to, I know even though I won't be commentating the next one, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it and watching it. It'll be really exciting to see how this matchup ends.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that I don't need to tell anybody what else there is to watch, but just in case you want something a little bit different, there are a couple of other matches taking place at this time. Looks like we've got the M. Kostler versus Gerdo match number 2. Now, those guys had a tie in the first round of the brackets, so that's taking place on ALTTP Randomizer 4. In half an hour, Elminster versus Santi is going on Speed Gaming 4, and as well, Ganon's Gone Wild versus Christos Owen on Speed Gaming 3. So lots of rando action to be following. Thank you for watching. We couldn't be doing this without you, and we'll see you in the next race.